This podcast is sponsored by YRC Real Estate Group, offering a tailor-made service, versatility and expertise for all your real estate needs. Are you thinking about selling, buying, investing or having your properties managed? For more information, check our website, www.yrcrealestategroup.com. We are passionate about real estate and we love to support local businesses. We hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to behind the business.
Behind the business, guys. Behind the business. Welcome to episode. Jesus, chair. 29.
Damn, you guys are pumping these out. That's good.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
We started during COVID, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I was telling Andrew about that. Like, the first podcast was just me in my closet.
Really?
Yeah. Talking into my clothes because they said.
So that's how it all starts.
That's how it all started.
Talking in your closet?
Every time.
That's how every business starts.
Exactly. It's behind every business.
Start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, now look at we got video cameras.
I know.
We got
This
all
is
this
impressive.
equipment
It's awesome.
and stuff. So
Yeah. Thanks for coming in the studio.
Really, really happy to be here.
thanks, Andrew. Thanks for coming. I know we've been trying to set it up for you. Well, Dave has been for like
A few months now.
Few
I
months.
guess.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think we did some new website kind of designs and stuff like that, so we wanted to make sure that the timing was appropriate. So really appreciate you guys waiting and
Oh, yeah.
having me on too.
I thought it'd be a really good story, so I was like, let's get Andrew on here.
yeah. Well, let's jump right into it. Today we got Andrew Tian, and he's the co-founder and CEO of CaseMogul. So you guys know all those cell phone cases in the malls,
The kiosks, yeah.
the kiosks in the middle of the malls that sell pretty much all phone cases.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of repairs.
Yeah.
Oh, repairs too.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
thing is the repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you guys also sell like those screen things?
Screen
Oh,
protectors.
pretty much everything with
Pretty
this.
much anything phone, like any phone ancillary related kind of product, we try and provide or yeah.
Because you guys do
Help
like
with.
iPads and also
Yes.
computers now?
Not so much on computers for now, but tablets for sure. Yeah.
Tablets for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
But founder.
Founder. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
co-founder. No other guy.
Yeah, it's just him.
It's just you.
Yeah, he's
It's funny
me.
funny
you,
story
you
though.
yourself and I, or yourself, right?
My mother is definitely involved.
Yeah.
She helps a lot, and actually, backstory. But like, there was another guy. His name was Bob. He helped initially when we all started. But yeah.
Just you.
Yeah.
Um,
now it's me.
So you worked as an investment banker at Goldman Sachs before deciding to make the leap into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And then CaseMogul now is in 11 locations. Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're in Calgary, Vancouver,
And Fort McMurray,
Fort McMurray.
Fort Mac strong. Yeah.
Sheesh. How many employees do you have? And I guess how long have you been in business? Let's start off with that.
Yeah, we have 35. Around 35 employees, and we started this. I mean, I guess the official start date would be 2012. That was when I was still at Goldman Sachs. I left Goldman in around 2014. So did it for like 2 years on the side before.
So this business has been running for 7 years.
Yeah.
Jeez. And how old are you?
I am 33 this year.
Oh, you're already
Yeah, we're the same age.
yeah, crazy. So 7 years in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's it has been.
Yeah, I've seen the growth and like from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like I remember just having the conversations about this because like you moved here from Vancouver,
Yes.
working in Goldman Sachs, and I was introduced to you by a friend,
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah.
Which was introduced by another friend that went to school. There.
Alan was my only friend, or my first friend in Calgary.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And like we went out and we had some drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards
Played volleyball
Yeah. And then you were telling us how you
on
were
the in like a sand pit.
you were looking to start a new biz. And
Yeah.
you were kind of doing it like after hours, like in the
Yeah.
evenings at Goldman Sachs. So
Yeah.
Crazy. What were you do? Well, before we get into the business, tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
I mean, one interesting thing is I wore a tuxedo once to work in finance, unintentionally, but I wore a tuxedo on the trading floor at Merrill Lynch in Toronto, and I got shit for it.
Oh, really?
Why?
Dude, you can't wear a tuxedo. That's like fucking ridiculous.
Black tie and that's funny.
No, it was just like it was actually by accident, but it's funny. It was just like I think just I guess any Asian kid, you never get an opportunity to wear a suit, so you don't know the difference between a tuxedo and a business suit.
Yeah.
And so my only suit for my first real job that I needed a suit was obviously the suit that I bought for prom in high school. And so I was interviewing in that suit. No one ever told me. And then one day, on the trading floor, one of my bosses accidentally wore my suit jacket to a meeting. And he was, he was in a meeting with a client. Pretty important client, and the guy apparently was like, my boss's name was Kevin, and the client like mid meeting was like, Kevin, are you fucking wearing a tuxedo right now to this meeting? And he's like, no, what are you talking about? And then he looked at it and he realized that he was wearing a tuxedo, and he got fucking super mad, and he stormed back to the trading floor being like, who the fuck has been wearing a tuxedo to work? And I didn't know, but eventually I figured out that it was my suit, and I have been wearing a tuxedo for the entire summer. Almost the entire summer in my first internship at Merrill Lynch in Toronto on the trading floor.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
That's
hilarious.
That's his own fault, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, I should be wearing yours.
They're all black. They're all black suits, and so it's a funny story.
Yeah.
Funny story.
All right, well, let's jump into it. What was your first job ever?
Start
off with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was either delivering like paper routes or teaching piano. I think
Teaching piano.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
So I finished my performer's ARCTE at the behest of my mother, forcing me to finish. I finished.
Well, that's something interesting about yourself.
Yeah. But that's every other Asian. So it's like kind of like a given, I guess. But so I taught piano when I was in elementary school in grade 7 or whatever.
Wait, you're teaching piano while you're in elementary?
Yeah.
You were that good. That's.
I mean, like if you're teaching like younger kids, grade 1 or grade 2, you're really just teaching them the very, very basics. And so I think for a lot of parents, it's just easier to pay, this elementary school student $10 or $15 an hour as opposed to like $45 or $50. So,
Crazy.
And then
That's still pretty young.
Yeah, that's very young.
You had this hustler mentality since you elementary then.
Kind of, I guess. I used to perform in elementary school, like not like during assemblies and stuff like that. There were assemblies and for some reason, I would get up and play like the piano. So I guess the entire school knew that I played piano, and I guess some parents were like, "Oh, can you teach my kid or something like that?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Was this in Vancouver?
Yeah, in Richmond.
Yeah, nice.
Back at Blair Elementary School.
I'm at, I think, grade 4 level piano.
Nice,
I don't
nice.
remember anything. I know like a couple songs, but yeah.
Nice.
What you were teaching piano, you went to school, and then what did you go in for school? What were you doing after? How'd you get into
Goldman Sachs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to UBC, decided to go into business instead of engineering. My dad's advice was don't do engineering, do something that's business or finance related, because you're more likely to join the C-suite as opposed to engineering, where you're likely to kind of anyways, that was his advice. So like just being, you know, the dumb high school kid, I was like, sure, yeah, sounds like logical, sounds pretty logical. So I chose business, and then decided to go into finance.
And this was UBC and UBC.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. Went into finance, you know, and joined this really awesome group, or really awesome kind of club that was at UBC called the Portfolio Management Foundation, which was this, you know, this very kind of, you know, small but hard to get into group that you had to interview for. But once you were in, you were managing a portfolio of, at the time, it was like $3 million of money. And they would recruit about 6 or 7 people each year. And I got chosen to be a part of that. And yeah, so this was kind of managed money. And that's kind of my foray into finance, and had experience. So they basically gave $3 million to these kids.
Real
Said,
money.
Yeah, real money.
Crazy.
Yeah. a lot of funny stories there, but we lost $1 million that year because it was the financial crisis.
Oh.
So it was like
2008.
2008 was when I got admitted to the Portfolio Management Foundation.
Crazy.
The markets completely crashed. We lost $1 million,
shit.
so it went from 3 million to 2 million, and then kind of rose. I guess the following year we actually made it back, but not you know, I think it was an awesome experience. It was a real great learning experience. But realized that finance wasn't really for me, and decided to kind of do entrepreneurship. But yeah, there's lots of stories in there. So yeah, feel free to ask or whatnot. But yeah.
So you left, you were in financing, you graduated, and then you started working somewhere at Goldman Sachs. Okay.
Yeah. So So
For those people who don't know, how big is Goldman Sachs? Yeah.
Goldman Sachs is pretty large. It's
one of
it's
the largest banks in the world.
Yeah, they're kind of a bulge bracket, investment bank.
And you were an investment banker there.
That's right. Yeah, I was I started my real job after school was in Calgary in investment banking as an analyst in the natural resources group at Goldman Sachs in Calgary. So.
Is it true they work like 16 hours a day?
Probably more.
More than 16 hours?
like 20.
Sometimes
20
really?
Yeah, or all
sometimes
night.
they sleep there.
Yeah,
I know some
sleep.
buddies, like, they just sleep there. They work
under the desk and stuff. But regardless, I would have to say that the Calgary office was really nice, in the sense that they were more like family compared to a lot of the other places. But the perception, or the perception is that it's usually pretty intense, pretty intense work hours, and it's very it's very grueling, and it's supposed to kind of test your mettle, I guess, in some ways, to show that you're able to work very hard hours, and you're able to kind of produce, or you're able to execute, basically. And a lot of people end up leaving investment banking to go into different things, like whether or not it's in tech or finance. You basically earn your stripes in investment banking to show that this guy is intense. He's a good workhorse. And he's not completely retarded, most likely. And that's all we kind of, that's all we can ask for at that after 2 years out of school. And this guy is this guy's willing to put in the hours and willing to work. And so that's, a lot of people use investment banking as a way to launch their careers into different things, or go back to MBA school. Yeah,
because it's like, once you have that on your resume or something like that, it's like they know, like they don't even have to ask too much about it.
It's definitely like, it's a good way to validate that you're able to handle a certain amount of work and workload, I guess. But
performance.
But Calgary was overall really nice. The bosses there were really accommodating, and they were more like family compared to New York or Hong Kong or some of the other larger cities. So my hours weren't that bad. I think it was mostly if I can remember. It's probably get in at 9 or 10 in the morning, so not super early, but probably stay until 9 or 10 at night.
Crazy.
Every day, including maybe including weekends.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I barely saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we won't say his name, but no, I don't want to say
Yeah. No, different trading.
different trade. Okay. But yeah, I guess that working 7 days a week for 12 hours, like that's not longevity, right? Is that why you kind of left, or why did you end up leaving?
Yeah,
No,
well,
I think I just I realized pretty early on. So,
And how old were you when you started, and how long were you there for?
so right after school, and then I was there for about 3.5 years. So I got promoted, which was important to me because I wanted to make sure that I had a fallback plan, so that in the event that running this business wasn't going to work, then I could always go back, and if I went back to RBC or any of the other investment banks, so Goldman is US based, but they're international. But if I wanted to go to RBC or Scotiabank or any of the other investment banks, they wouldn't look at my resume and be like, you didn't leave. They let you go because you never got promoted.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get promoted before leaving to show them that there is validation that I could do the work. It wasn't that I had to leave. So that was that. But I think I realized pretty early on. So so going back, rewinding back into university days, loving business school. The girl to guy ratio was great in business school versus engineering. So I thought it was a great decision. I was like, thanks, Dad, for
your recommendation.
Yeah, for your recommendation.
Always about the woman, eh?
Yeah, definitely. And then having a great time, and was working at Future Shop as a sales associate for a summer, and then got into this program, and then just had this idea that finance was, I think, at that age when you're so young, you don't really have a real idea of what a career looks like or what it even means. So it's almost it's just this idealized, this romanticized, imagination of what work would really be like. So I was like, fuck yes, got into this awesome, really, really, really prestigious program, and then got my first internship at Merrill Lynch, which is, again, a huge bulge bracket name. So I was like, this is fucking awesome. I have this on my resume already. Like, this is going to put me miles ahead to my competition. I'm going to, end up in New York, work as an investment banker, have this nice lifestyle, just like, fucking, this is awesome. This is like,
this is the life.
Yeah, this is it. Like, it's all happening. It's like, it's happening exactly how
dream.
I should. Yeah, the dream. And then
It's like some Wolf of Wall Street stuff.
yeah, exactly. Like, whatever you wanted to imagine as a kid, it's just like, oh, this is all happening. This is fucking awesome. So, landed in Toronto for my internship, and then I got a call from HR being and they asked, like, why didn't you answer your phone? I was like, sorry, I was on a plane. And then they said, yeah, by the way, we let go of your entire desk, so your entire group is gone.
In Merrill Lynch?
At Merrill Lynch.
Oh, crazy!
And I was
Right
like,
when you got there?
yeah, and I was like, what? This is so weird. But yeah.
So you didn't have a job when you landed, basically.
No, they had to transfer me to another group. Anyways, so there's this like romanticized kind of view, and things started to fall into place, and reality started to set in, I guess, in some ways. But so this was during the financial crisis, and I think that made it even worse because people at Merrill Lynch or any investment bank or any bank at that time were quite worried about themselves, and so they were they couldn't give a shit about the intern that was working, just like, don't bother me. But anyway, so I landed, got the news, started my job, and I just fucking hated it. It was just really not what I expected, and this is a guy that was selling product service plans or like laptops at Future Shop, thinking that it was going to be something similar to that, and it was totally different. I would walk to work every day, and it's a trading floor, so I didn't know what that meant, but I quickly realized what that meant. Trading floors are full of testosterone to some degree, and I think it's gotten better over the years, but still, a lot of guys, and Merrill is quite known for this. The culture at Merrill Lynch.
Our trading floors, this is what I imagine when you say trading floors. A bunch of those guys on Wolf of Wall Street just screaming at each other.
I think there's like a clip in Margin Call, or there's like clips in The Big Short. It's just like essentially it is like
that.
but it's not as crazy. Like that was like in the 90s, and that got shut down. But it was at some point like that. Okay. But it got more tame. So it's, but even then, it's
more civil now.
More civil. But the guys are similar to Wolf of Wall Street, where they're just like on
big ego trips,
huge egos with like tons of monitors, just making tons of trades or making millions or whatever, and so really full of like that culture was just not what it's not a future shop culture. It was not future shop. That's what I quickly realized, and I glossed over that assumption, but yeah.
That's funny. You're covering that. And
Merrill Lynch.
Working at Future Shop, but you were more happier at Future Shop.
I loved it. It was like, but anyway, so I just realized, like from then on, that like the culture, people were very money focused or returns focused. Not saying that that's necessarily a good or good bad thing, but it wasn't really for me. And I think that the guys there were pretty intense, particularly at Merrill. I think I got the worst of it, especially given that it was a financial crisis, and at the same time, Merrill had a culture of a very boys club kind of mentality, and so I would say hi to my boss, and my boss would kind of storm in the morning, and I'd be like, hey Scott, and he would literally just kind of stare at me and look away without acknowledging me, which was a huge like hit for an intern that is super vulnerable in a new city, never been to like, first time in Toronto, big city.
You're just looking for some love, man.
Yeah, I was. And at one point, I was crying, and I think I cried in the washroom, and thankfully one of the other guys on the trading floor was like, "Hey man, you okay?" And he kind of brought me in a little bit and just kind of nurtured me for like a day, and he's like, go fuck off. but yeah, like it was a lot to take in.
He's like, I got my own issues to deal with.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it was just a lot of intensity that I wasn't prepared. Wearing a tuxedo wasn't a good idea either. So all these things are just like, oh fuck, this is
starting to add up for you.
Yeah, it was like totally adding up, and I think that's when I turned and realized, and going back to school. So that was, during school still, so went finished the internship and went back to school, just started doing a lot of soul searching, felt really lost.
I think we all do at that age, right?
Yeah.
There's traveling's
helps.
good, but like at that age, I dropped out of university because I was like, what am I doing, right? And I feel like it's okay, if I could tell myself back then, it's okay to not know. Mm-hmm. But I feel like with the Asian culture, it's like, do this, and you got to live up to people's expectations, right?
Definitely. So. And yeah, it just there was a huge disconnect between what I thought and what it was, and I think that was a part of growing up, but and realizing, you're not a kid anymore. But yeah, it was hard to kind of take in. It all came at once, and it felt really weird, and I felt really lost for third and fourth year university, even because I was in this very intense, very demanding program that required me to love finance or really be dedicated to finance, when I knew deep down that I was like, this is not for me. Yeah. But I still had to kind of push through it, otherwise so
at least you graduated.
Yeah.
You also didn't want to let your like parents down too, right?
Yeah, part of that, and also just realize that this is such a great opportunity to be in this program, and I actually I prepared so hard for that program. Anyways, this is, again, side story, but I prepared so hard for that program, and then to just kind of put it to waste, it would have been such a big loss and such a huge, it would have been bad. So kind of pushed through it. I remember at one point, fourth year university, graduating, looking for jobs. We're asked to kind of do information interviews with people that are in the industry. So I talked to a lot of hedge fund managers, a lot of fund managers that were very successful in their own right. And I remember this is where the program again was super instrumental and super helpful. We had counselors or mentors that were, provided to us, and these guys were top of their industry. So these hedge fund managers would make time to talk to us. And I remember talking to one of them. His name was Phil. He is a fund manager at Connor, Clark and Lunn. But yeah, I spoke to him and I said, hey, look, Phil, like, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I said, if I were 55 or 60 and, I looked back and I made millions of dollars, or I made tons of money, but most of the time I just spent sitting behind a desk, going through numbers or analyzing numbers and making investment decisions behind my desk. I'd be pretty fucking sad.
Yeah.
And
sure.
then he's like, then you have a fucking problem, because that's exactly where you're headed. And I was like, that was what he needed to say to me, right, at that time, because no one would tell me that answer. No one would say that to me. But he's like, then you have a fucking problem, because that's exactly where you're headed. Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then so I think that was a wake up call, and really
this is while you're still in that program at UBC.
The
That's
Portfolio
cool.
Management Foundation, and it's such a blessing to have that program at UBC, because it's really difficult on the West Coast to get a job in finance, because most of the finance activity or the financial centers are all on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
New York City is a big one, Toronto. And there's so many good schools out there: Queens, Waterloo, all the Ivy Leagues like Columbia, Harvard, not Stanford, but like Columbia, Harvard, Wharton. So there's a lot of talent to recruit from. So there's no reason for them to fly someone from Vancouver out to the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard to get feel bad for the rest of my faculty, but my finance group, but yeah, like if you weren't in the program, it was difficult. But with that program, because you had a Merrill Lynch interview or a Merrill Lynch internship, or because you had these experiences, people definitely wanted to talk to you.
Oh yeah.
So I had an
You're
interview.
more reputable.
Exactly. Had an interview at Goldman Sachs in New York during my fourth year.
Crazy.
Flying over there to interview and stuff like that, and it was unheard of, or just unimaginable. So a lot of
And so
to PMF.
You're done school, and then you end up working at Goldman Sachs anyway.
Yeah, so so I did a bunch of interviews, got offers from RBC, Scotiabank, and a bunch of other places, but decided to go to Goldman Sachs because the thinking there was just I would probably try to accumulate as much money as I could as quickly as possible. And Goldman Sachs was an international company, so I could go to New York or go to San Francisco, and they could transfer me in 1 or 2 years. Whereas if I accepted an offer with RBC or Scotia, I'd most likely stay in Canada. And at the time, I really wanted to go to New York. Yeah, I think the energy there is just amazing.
Is that where you started working when you went there? Or was it
Goldman? No, it was in Calgary.
Oh, it was in Calgary.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still think that was a great experience because they did a training. They did 2 months of training, and they flew in everyone that got hired at Goldman Sachs that year, and they flew in like 350 people from all around the world. So there you had your Beijing team, you had team from Japan, you had team from South Africa, you had all the European teams, you had like South American teams. So everyone was the same age and same kind of ambition, same kind of drive, all in one place. And most people knew finance, even though they wanted to reteach you finance to make sure that you understood it. But it was just like a giant networking session / like just people were just partying, and you had like local New York guys who were hired there as well that were just showing out of towners how to party in New York, and it was just like it was amazing because these guys lived in New York, had the connections or like parents or anyways, just like it was an awesome experience, and I stayed close with a lot of them, or I really like I think the friendships that I made during those 2 months were so invaluable and really impacted my life as well. But anyways,
so
sorry,
that's a good story.
Yeah, it's a good story. Well, we're leading up to this point.
Because it's really interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't really get to hear about that world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're in it, and like that's why it's a great opportunity to listen about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
It's a whole new world that, people don't even can comprehend. Especially the hours that you work, and how much effort you need to put into that type of work, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's first of all, I think Goldman is a like culture is very different than Merrill or from what I know, they're very humble. Like everyone that I spoke to, even when I was interviewing, wasn't just they call them big swinging dicks, but they're not at Goldman. They're very humble, or most of them are quite low key.
I just want to make sure we could put this on, and Merrill isn't going to come after you saying like you've
big swinging
tainted their
dicks.
name or something,
No, but it was just, they were really humble. But kind of going back, it's just from the outside's perspective. Sometimes it's interesting when you look at investment banks or people in investment banking. They seem like these hot shots or kind of these smart guys. But I just remember when we were studying, we had to study for a certification. I think it's called the Series 7. I can't remember exactly, but every 350 everyone basically had to study and get this certification in order to actually work at Goldman Sachs. It was like this Series 7 exam, and you can only fail, I think, 4 times before it was just like
You're out.
And it was just interesting that you would think that these guys are, the smartest guys, and they probably don't have to study. And your perception of these guys should be like, they barely need to study, and they just like ace these exams. But it was just interesting that how hard they studied for this exam. Like they were really putting in the hours. While even I was kind of I was even kind of just going out or having dinner. But it was just like I think the perception is like these guys don't work hard, but they definitely put, like, they're quite risk adverse, and they definitely put in the work, or they try to they hide it well, but they actually put in a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. So you're 21, 22 when you started at Goldman?
Yeah.
It's pretty young.
Yeah, and you were there, and this was in Calgary.
Yeah.
You're working 12-hour days, let's say.
Yeah, so I was living in London House, so 4th Ave and 4th Street.
Yeah, I remember. Pigs.
875. Yeah,
Pig and Duke.
Yeah.
Duke and Pig or something like that.
$875 a month, making a good paycheck. And I was just trying to save a ton of money. I was just like, I'm probably not going to stay in Calgary, so I just want to get ahead. The only advantage I have versus my other peers right now is just I can save a ton of money, and hopefully I'll need the money to start something, and so I'm just going to try and save as much as I can. So I had nothing in my apartment. I literally had just like a mattress, and I just would go to work. And I think it also reminded me that I needed to leave the city as well, because there was like
you were just anchored there.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be anchored. I didn't want to like put anchors that would anchor me, and so
So you're working. Did you already think about starting CaseMogul? Like, when did that come into your brain, and how did you strategize to eventually go full time in that? Right? Because if you're working 9 hours or 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, where did you find the time to eventually start this own business?
Yeah, and it was. So
and like, how did you even get into that? And let's hear the story with that.
Yeah, and it was I think when I landed in Calgary, I was like, damn, I'm actually here. I'm really here in this city, and this is not New York. This is
Vancouver.
This is 2 months of partying in New York City with like New York friends and San Francisco, and like just meeting people, and like just like the whole shebang. I was like, fuck, this is so awesome. Like just like just being a 21-year-old or 22-year-old, and just like meeting people and just having everything, and just feeling like just on top of the world. And then you're like, boom, you're in Calgary, and you're like, it's cold, and you're still at Goldman Sachs, but you're not really at Goldman Sachs. So
I love New York. New York's one of my favorite places to go.
It's awesome.
That energy there is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it doesn't even.
It doesn't compare.
Yeah, you can't even compare it, man.
Yeah, exactly. So then, anyway, so I think it's actually really good. I'm not saying anything bad about Calgary. I really appreciate, and that's why I stayed here. But at the time, I think I think a lot of those things probably I needed the silence, or I needed the silence to really force myself to look inwards and do a lot of soul searching. And so I started off by saying, like, I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life, because I'm still en route to become, this finance person. And so I thought to myself, you know what, you think your life is unique, but in reality, it might not be that unique, because there's so many people in the world that are living now, and there are so many people that have lived before you, that you can probably, if you really don't know what to do with your life, my idea at that time was that I could probably start reading autobiographies and just almost like a Netflix trailer, just like learn about other people's lives and try to copy other people's lives, or at least figure out what genre of life I want to be in. And so I started reading autobiographies to figure out what life sounds cool or is closer to what I want to live my life with. And so
You started reading books and seeing which one you could relate to the most,
or felt excited about, or resonated or vibed with, or whatever. And I was lucky enough to read this book called Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson.
Yeah.
And and yeah,
I actually have that book. I just haven't read it.
really,
So
it's a great book. I would recommend it for all entrepreneurs. But so I think that was like the final clicking point, where I think it's funny, because I think looking back before that, I think I was doing everything that made sense, but I just didn't realize it almost. But yeah, like, so I was already starting businesses on the side, even in fourth year university, and I was doing all these things, but it never really, like, there was no thesis, or there was no why behind it, even though I kind of knew kind of anyways, I was doing the things, but I didn't really understand why. But reading that book made me realize, I was like, yeah, this is like a fucking awesome guy who, rides on hot air balloons, does all these cool things, but at the same time is starting businesses and starting multiple businesses and making positive changes in life, never really focusing on the money. And it just sounded like a really cool life. He had his own island. So if I could dream, the most idealized or romanticized dream of my life, it would be something like his, where, he was building like these rocket ships that were going to the like Virgin Galactica, that was like taking people out to space and stuff like that, and having his own island, Necker Island. I was like, if we're going to dream big, or if we're going to head in that direction, this sounds like the life that I should focus on. It sounds like he is a business owner, and he's running, or he was an entrepreneur.
I think he has over like a dozen business. He has a lot of businesses, and they're all successful.
It's weird.
It's all under the Virgin brand, right?
Yeah.
I think Virgin mobile airlines too. He has. Yeah.
But it started with music.
Exactly. Virgin Records and stuff like that. And so, reading his autobiography was really, resonated a lot with it. And I read a few others afterwards, and then I proceeded to kind of, so this is like while I was work, and then go home, and then just read books, or
reflect on your life.
Reflect on my life, and reflect on like autobiographies, and figured out that, it all makes sense. It was like it was the beacon while I was at Goldman, where sometimes it would get pretty dark, where you wouldn't know what you were doing, but you're like, okay, like I kind of have an idea of like there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it seems like there's something there. So so feeding that, I started reading like a lot of entrepreneur books or startup books on how to start a business, because obviously I couldn't start a business while I was in finance, and so I was just like, I might as well just read a ton of books on how to start a business and try to read as many as possible to really understand it. And then at some point, I think I read all the books that I felt like I needed. They started to become very repetitive. I was like, I think, that was in the other book. And I was like, okay, I don't think that it makes sense to read anymore. But so I read all these like startup books or lean startup books, and that was that. And then I think around the same time I was, so I was working, and then I was, again, I think the main goal was to try and accumulate capital as quickly as possible, or as quickly as possible. And at the time, being from a finance background and investor background, I was investing in stocks or looking at stocks to try and invest. And then and then kind of one conversation led to another, but I realized, I was like, I only had like probably $6,000 in my bank account or something like that. So it's pretty small. And so I just realized, wait a second, if the goal, going back to first principles or whatever, if the goal is just simply to accumulate capital as quickly as possible, then investing in stocks is not necessarily the best way to do it. Just because, there's so many guys that are much smarter than you that are selling or buying stocks at the same time. To get like a 20% return or a 30% return consistently year on year, you'd have to be like really good. You'd have to be better than Warren Buffett, which is like almost impossible. So it's like you're just probably going to get 15% or something like that. Let's be realistic, right? There's no way that you're going to make millions investing in the stock market. So instead of investing in the stock market, if you're just trying to build capital, then why don't you take the $6,000 and buy screen protectors and sell it to these mall kiosks? You can buy them for like 10 cents or 25 cents on AliExpress or Alibaba. You can sell them for $1. 25 cents to $1 is like 4 times, like 400% return. And there's no risk. You're not gonna you're not gonna lose your money if the stock market crashes or anything like that. There's like zero risk, and you can do that over and over again very, very quickly. And so I was just like,
Why did you pick screen protectors?
Because it was a very easy to consume product or a kiosk. Just people wanted them all the time, and it was $1. They were selling them for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever, and so $1 to them was
that was like your first
the first product
that you
it was buying a pack of screen protectors for probably $20 or something like that, and then selling them for $100.
So you just like randomly just been like, I'm gonna sell
No. So I think like the roots time back to like Vancouver and the night market was hot at the time, and as I was talking to a friend's older brother, and he was doing the business in at the night market, and we had one night we were having a conversation where I was calling him at like 3 a.m. Pretty sure it was 3 a.m. actually. 3 a.m. at the office. I'm the only one. The lights are out already. I'm just like working, and then I was like, you know what, this is just crazy. I don't know what I'm doing and stuff like that. And he's like, you know what, why don't you just like do something with phone cases or phone accessories? They're doing pretty well here in Vancouver. You should look into that. And I think I was like, you know what, that's not a bad idea, because I could talk to Asia at nighttime. It wouldn't interfere with my day job. Because if you're buying things from China, it would be at nighttime, and you'd be working in the day, so it wouldn't interfere, and that's not a bad place to start. And you've already read all the books on entrepreneurship, so you might as well try to start something. And this seems like a meaningful next step. So just kind of so I started to do that.
And you speak the language too.
Yeah.
Oh, that helps for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't actually very good at writing or reading at the time, and so I used a lot of Pinyin, so that's alphabetical kind of typographics or whatnot to kind of communicate. But then slowly, I think it's also a good way to practice Chinese, and now I can read a lot more than what I was able to.
So you started with screen protectors, started buying it of Alibaba.
Yeah.
Then you got them, and then you just went to the malls and then were selling them, or were you selling
stores?
I would take the C train to Northland Mall. And I would sell it to this guy called Mohammed. He had a kiosk at Northland Northland Mall. And I would take the C train from on a Saturday or a Sunday. I would get close to Northland Mall, but I'd have to walk like 35 minutes with with boxes of stock, because I didn't have a car, and I would sell it to him, and then I would come back and then maybe work at the office for a little while.
Crazy.
That's a good grind.
I was like, fuck, this C train should just stop right at Northland Mall, but it doesn't, so you had to walk like 30 minutes, which is like really annoying, especially thankfully it was in the summertime, it wasn't winter, but
That's crazy.
So you're selling these phone protectors, then I guess I'm assuming you upgrade to phone cases. Like how did you
we just like the Muhammad would be like, hey, do you have any phone cases? And we're like, yeah, of course we do. Like, you want to buy more stuff? For sure. And so so at the time, actually, there was another guy that lived in London House. His name was Bob Hung, and he used to live like probably next door or a few doors down, but so he was a big, I owe it to him too to kind of help with launching the business, because I was too busy, and he definitely pushed very hard as well, and he was also kind of ordering and doing a lot of things. At times he was very annoying, but at the same time I think he was pushing me in the right direction. Or otherwise, if you're just one person, sometimes it's hard to spot your weaknesses. And so he was the one who was like, he was the one who actually bought the first batch of screen protectors from AliExpress. And then he was also the one that started our first pop-up store on Stephen Avenue as well. Because anyway, so
that was your first store that you...
Yeah, and it was crazy because, so we started selling screen protectors.
At this point, did you quit Goldman Sachs?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
That was
so
like
I
early
was,
on, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just, I was maybe hanging out with Dave like once maybe every month or whatever. It was like, it was
late
like
night call, 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go for dinner? I'm like, I'm ready to go to sleep.
Yeah, but yeah, like at the time, so started selling to wholesalers. Made these treks to Chinook Mall or.
But at what point did you? So you're at Stephen
Avenue.
At what point did you realize, like, I'm gonna quit?
I always wanted to quit.
Yeah, but like,
I was
you know what I mean?
I'm just waiting for the time.
Yeah, like when did you know it was the perfect time? Like when you made a certain amount of money, when it was growing?
I think so. I think it was when the income was getting close to what I was getting at Goldman, which is like actually quite a feat, I think. Otherwise my mom would have never let me do it. So my obviously Asian parents, my dad and my mom were really proud that I was at Goldman Sachs, and they they would tell their friends that my son's at Goldman Sachs and stuff like that. And so it was tough for them to understand that I would leave. So I think that the moment that I left was or the moment that I decided, okay, now's the right time was most likely when the income level was around the same. And
so were you working on this side business to grow it, and you had the help this whole time at Goldman Sachs too then, right? Because it's like, how did you grow that while you were there?
I think Bob was a big part of that as well. And initially I owe it to him for sure. So like even with Stephen Avenue, I don't think I would have ever made the leap to do. I might have just stuck with selling wholesale the whole time, like just selling to Mohammed, which is actually not a good business relative to retail, I think, because it was just like you were buying these things for
You're just flipping it.
But you could get a lot better margins if you sold directly to retail. And I remember Bob being like, why don't we just sell on Stephen Avenue? I was like, I don't think there's going to be that many people that are interested in buying phone cases walking on Stephen Avenue. And he's like, no, I really think that could do something. And I was like, no, I don't think so. But if you want to do it, like I can't do it because I'm going to be at work. I can't leave my job to stand outside Stephen Avenue in the daytime. But if you want to do it, and he did it, and I just remember like first day I think we like made like $300 or something. I was like, holy fuck, this is pretty awesome actually. I was like doing my financial modeling, and
that's really good for a business
for one day.
And I was like, fuck, this is
There's
so like
quite a bit of traffic there though, like walk-through traffic.
At the time for sure, exactly. So I think so he was the one who kind of pushed it, pushed the barriers.
How many stores did you have before you quit, I guess?
We had two.
Two.
We had T&T at the time.
That's a big one.
And then in South Center, we had a kiosk in South Center.
Crazy. And then how did you quit? You're
2014,
like, hey,
right?
2014?
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, I'm all in now. Is that what happened?
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
It was
That's
tough.
how you throw your hat over the fence and then right?
And it was really, I think it was like really scary to quit because, like I think at the time you were sitting at your desk at Goldman and, it's nice. You're in a suit. You're comfortable. You're in a really nice chair as well. You're overlooking Calgary and you have a nice computer. Everything is nice. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to walk over to my boss's office and tell him that I'm leaving.
How was that day?
I'm going to do it. And it's like actually it's almost like bungee jumping where it's like you're just going to jump. And it's like, even though you know that it's not that bad, it's still hard to make that leap. And so it's like
a leap of faith.
Yeah, because you can't go back and say like, about what I said yesterday.
Yeah, sorry.
Never mind.
Didn't work out.
Once you say it, you can't take it back. So, but yeah.
So you're in all the big malls now, like
Yeah.
Chinook.
Yeah, all the Cadillac Fairview.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how was it growing the company?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah.
What was the hard, like, what was really tough about it?
I think like different things for sure. Many different things were tough about it. But right after I quit Goldman, I had South Center and I had TNT and I just got Market Mall in the mix. And I actually bought the cart off one of our wholesalers at the time. And I said, I'll just buy your cart because I don't think he was making money for some reason. But yeah, so I bought it and there was 3. But then I think there were some. Yeah, the business wasn't mature enough and it was very vulnerable. And we actually lost our Market Mall location. So Cadillac took it back and said, like, look, we're gonna replace you with someone else. And then TNT actually were getting, with the competition that was happening, there was another store that was opening beside us that was quickly expanding. So I think that was a really vulnerable point for the business as well, because I felt like I just quit my job. And then all of a sudden, our location started getting squeezed, and so just we weren't sure whether or not things were going to go well, and I think that continues to be a difficult part of the business, but at the same time I think it's also an interesting challenge in terms of dealing with competitors and kind of navigating through that.
Yeah. How did you overcome that then?
Yeah, like how did you continue to grow to so many locations, and then Vancouver, like you still wanted to expand. You did expand, right? So
yeah, and I think I think I look at it very similar to investing, I guess. You just look I think my mindset is very much you just almost similar to houses, I guess. You just wait for the right opportunity and you're patient and you look for the right opportunity, and when that opportunity comes, then you go in. But if those opportunities aren't there or if they're overpriced, then you have to have discipline to say no. Otherwise, then sometimes people have this FOMO, or they feel like they need to do something, and sometimes I think the market is always up and down, and there's competition, and then there's no competition, or there's always ups and downs, and so you just have to be almost like investing. You just have to wait for the right opportunity to come, and when you do have the opportunity, capitalize on it and grow.
How's COVID been? Like they closed it.
Yeah.
How did you shift with that, or how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, COVID has been really tough for us. We're down, quite a bit because of COVID. But I think at the same time, I think COVID was really helpful for me because I finally had more time to do some more kind of soul searching as well. I feel like, at least for my business, I think there's these giant cycles that happen, and I think the business has been successful for quite a few years, and we're getting to a point where there's more competition, and so it's time to kind of reinvent or rethink your strategy and things like that. I think a lot of businesses face that too. It's, you have one good idea and you run with it for a while, and then competition comes in or things change, the environment changes. And if you don't change, then I think things can get eroded. So I think COVID was a good, indicator or just kind of a reminder that the business that we have is, in some ways, needs to be reinvented, or I need to do some more soul searching to lead it not just out of COVID, but also lead it past COVID. And I think there's a lot of digitalization that's happening. There's e-commerce that's happening that we haven't really been, at the forefront of, which COVID kind of promoted. And so I've spent a lot of time rebuilding the website, bringing on really talented people from the outside for advice on what we can do with the business, and also searching within to really build on the CaseMogul's kind of company values and strengthen the vision so that internally people are motivated, but it's also easier to brand and communicate that externally as well. So not just, you know, making money for the sake of making money, which has always been something that I hated. So yeah.
Yeah, it was really like survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah.
Because like when you kind of get thrown a curveball like that in business, you have to kind of sit down and revamp things and restructure things in a way where it works to this. Like, because the same thing happened in real estate. You heard that all the time from the agents, like, oh, things will get back to what it was. Things will get back to what is. But it's like, you can't expect that. If you're going to sit there and just twiddle your thumbs and be like, oh yeah, like waiting for the business to come, like, you're never going to have the business. But if you are willing to learn and adapt and how to change things to make things better, work for this time, then you'll come out stronger than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we had to do too during COVID.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not waiting for COVID to end. I think COVID, in my perspective, you know, that's not the right strategy. It's similar. I really agree with what you're saying. It's just,
I think that's what sets like a good entrepreneur and a bad entrepreneur is willing to adapt, right?
And accept it.
Accept it, right?
So not blame external factors and just be honest with yourself and hold yourself accountable and not, not kind of blame external factors for what's your situation.
It forces you to make a shift. And like I think same with us. COVID was like we really enjoyed it, and it made us like stop like completely with the business for about a month and just really like be like, okay, what are we gonna do now, right? Yeah. And just like our business, it's always growing and evolving. That I feel like we're always shifting too, right? And it's just how you deal with it and how you adapt to it is what's gonna push you forward, right?
Yeah.
So
Another thing is just not changing things too much. Like change things, like don't fix it if it's not broken, right? So we're trying to we try to find things that are like lacking or where like we feel like we could improve on these things and start focusing on that, but not do too many things, because when you do too many things, you just don't complete anything, right? So
100%.
that was another thing, is like finding the problem, create a solution for it, finish it, move on. Find a solution. Yeah, like it's like we just constantly are focusing on the weakest part of the biz and wanting to revamp it and redo it.
Yeah, and I think that's like a big part of entrepreneurship as well. I think like because you don't have a boss sometimes, or there's no one to kind of hold you back, you start many projects and you don't complete them, or you know the follow through. Sometimes no one really holds you accountable, so it's
no one holds you accountable.
So like, whatever.
And so
it's good to have a business partner though, because we relay back things. But like when I was on my own, there's no one to be like, why didn't you do that? You know, it's just like, I
call
didn't
you
do
out
it.
on it.
Whatever. I'll just slip that under the table, right?
Yeah. So it's like, so I think that's one thing that I learned as well, is just like try to, finish things, or be intentional about how you spend your time and what you spend your time on, and complete things. And like Dave, like you said, prioritize the top 2 or 3 things that you think will be meaningful changes, and just do those things to the end, or really focus on them. Don't try to do like 10 different things and not complete anything. Yeah.
Totally. What's something like major you've learned in the last couple of years about the business, about yourself?
I'm just trying to think, what are the top things that I learned. I think the biggest thing is, working on the business versus working in the business is 2 very different things. And I think it's very easy to, trick yourself into thinking that you're working on the business when you're actually working in the business. And Dave knows this well. Like for a lot of the time, like calling Dave at 11 p.m., just being busy for the sake of being busy, or feeling like, I'm working in the business. This is, I'm grinding. And I think a lot of investment bankers do this as well. But like they put in the hours and think that if I'm putting in the hours, then I must be working hard. But I think so. So I think for myself, I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time, just doing tasks
in the business,
like fixing a phone,
Totally.
or doing something, or going to the store, when I should be, more intentional with my time, and also taking a step back and focusing on the vision or focusing on company values or making CEO level decisions as opposed to running around, answering customers' phone calls and stuff like that. It's easy to kind of be pulled back into certain things.
Yeah.
Very easy to
Very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's and sometimes you trick yourself into thinking that it's very deceptive almost. It's easy, at least for me. I find that it's easy to do things, and then if I don't take a step back and analyze or think about it, what I thought was working on the business becomes working in the business again very, very, very easily. So it's
Yeah, because you were doing everything.
a little bit, and my mom was doing that a lot too. And I think so it's just it was just I think you try to control it the way that you just try and be everywhere at the same time, and you don't take a step back, and you're not as structured in terms of how you think about it.
You got to work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's even with us. It's
Smarter and harder, I feel like, yeah.
But it's like, how do I step back but generate more business and not be so much in the business? But I even for me, it's still hard to not be in the business. I'm trying to look at everything, but I'm like, okay, I gotta put the trust and just let them do it, and like let me do what's really important for the business, right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, for example, this year, like, let's say an employee or one of the team members makes a mistake, or not makes a mistake, but just does something. The easiest thing is just to pick up the phone call and call them. But sometimes it may be like a result of something bigger, or maybe lack of structure, or lack of processes that are in place, or a bigger picture kind of unclear job descriptions, or unclear just operating procedures that you need to create first, and then communicate and implement. But it's much easier just to pick up the phone and be like, hey, about that thing that you did, I think that we should do this. Let's agree on doing this. Which sounds like it's on the business, but there's I guess onion layers almost, where it's like that's not as impactful, or not as long like it's not as long-term investing in the business as maybe the structure doesn't make sense, or maybe the job description needs to be revamped.
It's a short-term solution, and I keep saying this, like, this is coming up for us right now in our business. We need structures, we need systems, because
Standard procedures,
because if the same questions keep coming up, or the same things, and you just answer, or you deal with it on the spot, it's actually less efficient, right? Versus just like, hey, this is the way it is, this is the way it's done, and like getting clear on that, and then just giving that to whoever needs to do that. They're not going to bother you anymore, right? Versus just like keep being in the business of like, I know,
and thinking about that is hard too, I think.
Yeah, it's very hard to organize it.
To sit there and be like, I'm going to sit here for 2-3 hours or 1 hour and intentionally sit here and be silent and think about the problem and understand how this problem is a part of a bigger problem, and how to structure it is hard to think about.
Very hard.
As opposed to just do it. Yeah. Or like, don't do that again.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because like even now, like you just dealing with people, like everybody's different, right? Like how they do things, how they interpret things, their communication skills, their technical skills, their hand skills. Like there's so many aspects in your business that require different types of skills, but not everybody thinks the same way. But if you have some sort of standard procedure that has a kind of like a manual of how things can be done, they can take it how they are going to perceive it and kind of put their own thing on it. And then that way you don't have to micromanage them. They're just doing things based on this procedure. It may not be done perfectly every time, but as they get doing it on their own way, then they start getting better as well too.
Yeah, exactly. And when there are problems, you can look at the procedure and say, like, why does this problem continue to happen? And what part of the procedure is broken, or what part of this procedure needs revamping, as opposed to just, I feel like, it gets to a point where you just forget, or you don't have any structure. So it's like hard to even debate or discuss it, because you guys, like you said, perceptions or ideas of how things work are different. You might see it one way and another person might see it another way, but if it's drawn out or if it's laid out properly, you can identify, okay, this is the genesis of where the problem is starting. I think it's here. Maybe the other person says, actually, I don't think it's here. I think it's somewhere else in the process, right?
They say, well, this is all coming from a book. It's E-Myth for Business, but you can manage a system, but you can't manage people. Manage the system, get your system going first. It's too hard to manage people. You know, I can't even imagine you're dealing with 35 employees. That's why we're creating a system, because it's too hard to manage even one person that we have right now, right? So it's like, or we have two, I guess, 2 or 3.
Yeah, we have 3.
Yeah, but it's like just to manage. If we had a system that was set, we go back to the system, because everyone does their things their own way, right? So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think another thing on the people front, I feel like having weekly or bi-weekly or just like a regular cadence of time to talk to the core people that directly report to you or that you need to work with, I think is helpful to give the opportunity to kind of discuss issues that are at hand and also validate certain successes as well. But having a regular cadence of communicating with people is something that I learned as well. That's really effective.
Totally, 100%. We have weekly meetings.
Yeah,
Nice.
we do a 3-hour weekly meeting
Nice.
every Tuesday from 9:30 to 12:30.
And we hash out everything. It's like everything that needs to be hashed out, right?
Yeah. So then that nothing emotional gets brought into the business. It's just this is what's going on. This is what's going on. All right, let's start the week. And then the week is good to go. Like, you just perform, right? So I think that really helped us with our business and just keeping everybody accountable. Everybody is in communication, know what's going on. So
For sure.
Dave, do you have any more questions before we wrap this up with Andrew here? I feel like there's a lot of good stuff said.
yeah, I'm just trying to. I want to have like a good story, but I'm like, I don't know if we should talk about it.
Sure, we can. Why not?
We
can always cut it out if.
No, I just like the transition from like, because I've seen pretty much every stage of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Dave.
it's been pretty cool to see like the growth of the business and stuff like that. But I loved just showing up to the trap house before, remember?
Yeah.
And just like, because like Andrew had this house that had a lot of the stock and inventory in it, and then sometimes I'd just go and see him because I was in the area.
It was the first house that we bought in Calgary.
Yeah.
It was in Rosedale, yeah, and yeah. So at the time, I lived there, and coming out of Vancouver, thinking that real estate only goes up. I was like, this is awesome. It's an infill. It's not a nice house, but
it's in a great location though.
Yeah, so it's like great location, shitty house, but that's like the perfect Vancouver situation. And so bringing that Vancouver mindset over and buying that house, and just living in it, but then at the same time the business started getting more and more busy, and then we just tried to put all the inventory into that place, and it was I think it was like, by that time there was probably like 7 or 8 locations that were all being supported through that one house, and our neighbors were just
there's like delivery drivers coming in.
Yeah, DHL and UPS, and then employees coming in and stuff like that, and it was just like,
it was like the service center.
Yeah.
All the inventory was on the basement floor.
Yeah.
Or in the basement, like in all the rooms. Like there's like probably like 5 or 6 people there all the time just working, and Andrew's
I love those stories, man. It's like the startup, right?
It was sweet.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that people didn't like raid that house, because like it actually was like trap house. Like we'd call it a trap house all the time.
I mean, like you just like, it's hard to, I guess, inventory wise, who needs like 20 iPhone 5 cases? You only really need one, and it's hard to sell. It's hard to peddle phone cases on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace now. So it's like,
it was a cool spot though. But just like seeing that, and then like how it's expanded now, and now you're in like Vancouver, Fort Mac, and all the major malls in the city. Like, it's such a crazy growth in that short amount of time, actually, too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely super grateful, and thanks for thanks for just being willing to kind of have dinner late at night and stuff like that. But I'm glad. Yeah, it was an awesome journey, and it continues to happen. And definitely, no short of challenges these days, in terms of the business and just kind of sales going down and things like that. But I think at the same time, I think renewed a sense of like understanding of what I wanted to do with the business. I think like coming out of finance, it was very much, it's cash flow driven, or it's, just making money. I think that's one component of it. But over the past, few years, and especially during COVID, I think the emphasis on building a business that is everlasting and more tied or unifying the group, the 35 or however many employees into one unified kind of set of values and understanding the why behind the business has been really good to kind of ground not just me, but I think a lot of the employees as well. So
that's a good book though. Start with why.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we could wrap it up now, but I'd just like to say, is there any last things you want to say before we end the podcast? Any last things that you want to say or share?
Yeah. I think one big differentiator or one big strength or component of ours is that we do repairs, but not just repairs, but we do them, we do them really well in the sense that we don't just do modular screen repairs like most other repair shops. We have a dedicated team that does motherboard repairs. So micro soldering. So if a phone is not working and it's, you take it to, a few different shops and they're like, we changed the battery and it didn't work. We take a lot of those in, and super lucky to have a team now, but I used to go to New York as well or different places to learn how to micro solder, in China even. And so there's a lot of skills or a lot of a lot of techniques involved in that. And we do have a team now that is dedicated towards not just fixing the simple issues, but the more complicated microscopic kind of issues where we need to have a magnifying glass and take apart certain things. But that's really rewarding too.
I remember when you were going to New York to take those courses for the weekend and coming back, and you're like, I can't fix this right now, but when I come back, let
your
us
sisters.
try it. So you were able to fix something that was on a microchip level that would normally be thrown away because they can't fix it, but now you can because you have the ability to do that, which a lot of people don't have that ability here, right?
And I think it ties back to, like I said, like our company values or even my values. I think, at the end of the day, I want to look back and not regret what I did. And I think, a big part of the business that I'm trying to build is through kind of sincere human interaction and just building or feeling like I've, not just me, but the entire team at CaseMogul has impacted people's lives in a positive way and in our way, in our industry. And one really easy way to do that is by just fixing a phone that someone has written off or said, this is just, I've taken to 10 different places and I really need the information off of this phone, but unfortunately no one can do it. And for us to be able to repair it and experience and share in the joy that someone feels when someone sees that, I think is really rewarding to the team and to myself to feel like, we're doing something that is different and super fucking cool in that way.
Especially for the data or like photos. Like the photos on a phone, like once the phone is fucked and you can't get the photos off of it, like it's a toast. And like if you had that phone for like 5 years and you have all your photos on there, you didn't back it up, like you essentially lose all your memories on that as well too, right?
Or your contacts or like phone numbers or messages or whatever it is. So we strive to I want to try and continue to push the envelope in terms of what can be done, and I think that's really cool. It's like, the industry itself is not a tech industry or not something super sexy, but within this realm or within my own pond, I'm pushing the boundaries. I'm doing the best of the best work or inventing or creating new things that no one else is doing is rewarding for the entire team to feel. So
it sounds like you're your company is slowly evolving to the demand of what the consumers want also,
Yeah.
right? Like to be able to fix a phone and repair it, you know, and your company name's CaseMogul, right? I think your transition to that side, I think will get a lot of business, right? Because there's no real, in my opinion, there's no like place to go to be like, hey, my phone is broken. Do I need a new phone, or should I get something fixed, or do I need to check the motherboard or whatever, right? That's not really out there. People are just kind of, my phone's broken.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go get a new phone.
I know.
Yeah.
You know,
Because when my screen was, so I've broken my screen like so many times.
Yeah.
I just brought it in like a month ago.
Did you? Okay.
And when I was telling people like, oh, my screen's broken, they're like, oh, why don't you just get a new phone? I'm like, well, why don't you just fucking get a new screen? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
$100.
yeah, but people don't know that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, people think that once their phone is broken, they can never
Repair it.
repair it.
Yeah. So that's something, we'll definitely try and work on.
Especially because the phones are like
In terms of
$1,600 now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, it's definitely not worth it to kind of get a new
Replace it
phone every time.
You might need to change your name.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's potentially. We thought about that a lot as
rebrand,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, rebrand and
You should just call it Case.
or
Something with phone, I think, because you want to be more than a case now.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Case
more
phones,
like
yeah.
or like Tech Mogul or like something that's more like more all encompassing. So, but it's
Yeah, because CaseMogul just sounds like, to me, it just thought it was cases, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like you do screens. Now I know you could fix the phones, or you could fix the screens, and like, I think
better than most. Like, we try to like fix more issues than 90% of all other competitors. So we can fix everything that 90% of other people can fix, but then we can fix more than that. Basically, we want to try and be able to fix more than that.
Yeah, you got to put that out there, and also have all the services that you guys do, because then that way, when people come, they're like, oh shit, I didn't know you guys could even do that. If they don't know, then they won't come.
Exactly.
So
how long does it take you to fix a screen?
30 minutes.
Yeah, probably 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes.
You need to be on call, drive to the house, do it in your car. That's what you got to do, man.
We're definitely testing that, or
Yeah.
we're definitely trying. Yeah,
Because
thinking of different
people now,
avenues.
people are lazy. They want their
Yeah.
groceries delivered. They want everything coming to them. They
Yeah.
don't want to go to the mall. You know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like when my phone, that's like, okay, I can hold off on this until the screen like actually doesn't work. Like the last time, half of my screen wasn't even working, and I had to go do showings, and I couldn't open up the doors. So I was like, fuck, because I had to go to the mall, right? And then
It's difficult.
I hate going to the mall. I hate parking there. And then when I get my phone fixed, it's really quick with you guys, but I also had to bring it to get a case, like the screen, because I had
Screen protector?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got to wait another half an hour. It's like I'm like an hour there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like if you could make some sort of convenience without putting you out, then I feel like that would be a huge thing for clients.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
everybody just wants convenience nowadays.
For sure.
Sure.
So,
Sounds good. Yeah, definitely look into that.
Cool. We'll end it at that.
but where can they find you?
Yeah.
They find us in most of the malls: Chinook, Market Mall, South Center, Cross Iron, TNT, Vancouver. We're in Metrotown, and Central City in Surrey, and Peter Pan Mall in Fort McMurray. So there's lots of spots, and really grateful for the team. Super grateful for the team that I have. There's really hardworking, really tenacious, and it's them that make it work. So
CaseMogul on Instagram.
yes,
And what's the website?
CaseMogul.com.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Well,
Find
thanks
them
for coming
there.
on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew.
No worries.
It was a
Appreciate
good
it.
chat. Yeah,
Yeah,